What's good? Brian Tong here, and we're getting close towards the end of the year, so I thought it'd really be a good time to look forward. And this video is about the things that Apple needs to do better in 2019. And you know what? I absolutely want to hear what you are thinking as well as we go along with this video. And you know what? I can't do the amazing things that people at Apple create. I will always be the first to admit that, and this isn't just to complain and rip on Apple, but it's more of an honest look at what they need to do better in 2019. And if you're a soft fanboy that can't handle this and just takes things personally,
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
you should probably leave now. All right, let's go. And we know Apple has built a powerful ecosystem. It's really what keeps many people in it, even if there's better hardware somewhere else. But once your family's in it and then your friends are in it, you stay in it. And you know what? It's not bad. But Apple needs to make major improvements within this ecosystem. And the number one thing they need to blow up and start over is Siri. I've been saying this for a while now. Blow it up. The future is really voice first, and Siri doesn't cut it. And I know there's many of you that say, hey, Siri is great and good enough. But honestly, if you've seen and experienced what Google and Amazon are doing day to day, you just wouldn't say that. Now, to this day, Siri still can't handle multiple queries to tell it to do two things at once. It can't handle different voices from multiple users and then manage their calendars and reminders separately. And it still needs to get a whole lot smarter. Like, it was introduced back in 2011.
What is the weather like today?
And just got the ability to handle multiple timers. But beyond that, the weakness of Siri really just trickles down to every Apple product. It hurts every Apple product. And that's why I get so fired up about it. Like, if anyone knows this, Apple knows this. Just think about it, right? The HomePod would have been significantly better on launch if Siri was better. The Apple TV would be better if Siri was better. And yes, the iPhone and the Apple Watch too, everything would instantly be better with a better Siri. Now, I get it. It's going to take time. They hired Google's chief of search and artificial intelligence this year, and something like building a whole new smart assistant platform doesn't happen overnight, even in a year. But it has to happen, and if there's really one thing they can do in 2019, it's to help set things really in the right direction with a fresh start and a new Siri. And I can dream, but come on, Apple, how about 2020 at the latest?
Buddy.
Hey Siri, show me my life goals list.
I found 10 reminders.
Thank you very much.
Now, another place where you're limited by being in Apple's ecosystem is the smart home. And the smart home, we know it's exploding and only getting better, but what was Apple's answer? HomeKit. And guess what? Like you, I thought it had promise when it launched back with iOS 8 in 2014. But in classic Apple fashion, they kept it very locked down, and it needs to get better. For example, today, HomeKit supports roughly 500 plus smart home devices. But then let's compare it to Amazon Echo. Their platform supports over 12,000 smart home devices. The Google Home, over 5,000 the last time I checked, and it's probably even more by now. Apple HomeKit, 500-ish. Apple, they need to open it up. They are so behind that they need to just give up this walled garden approach this time around if they want the smart home to really be relevant for them. Many Apple users said, screw the Apple ecosystem and just jumped on board with Amazon and Google. Apple had them in the first place, right? They had them all, but the combination of a lackluster Siri and HomeKit has really hurt them and will hurt in the future if they don't address it.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, there were rumors in the past, I think about a few years ago, that Apple might be working on an Apple TV that was the center of your home with voice recognition and smart home control. Apple literally had all the pieces in place, and it could have been a killer product, really. But guess what? Siri was weak, HomeKit support was weak, and then they decided to work on a home audio speaker with audio being the priority. Several years later, we got the $349 HomePod, while Amazon absolutely just took their lunch with the Echo. Now, the current US smart home market share numbers from Strategy Analytics have Amazon at 63%, Google at 17%, and Apple at 4%. Apple needs to do better than this in 2019. And I know that was already a whole lot, but are y'all still with me? You still with me?
Yeah!
Okay, I'm going to pretend that I heard a yes in the background because I've got a lot more to go. Next up, the iPhone. And I know this is easier said than done, but for 2019, let's bring back an exciting iPhone. And maybe I'm around it too much, but I don't think I'm alone when I say this year's iPhones felt pretty uninspired. Yes, it's an S year, but really, what did we get? A slightly improved camera and a more powerful processor. Honestly, do you really feel that the iPhone XS is that much faster than the 10? It wasn't enough for me to upgrade, so that's why I stuck with a 10 and returned the XS. And it really wasn't worth the jump from a 10 to a XS. But for people using earlier phones, for sure, I get it. The jump was worth it. But okay, I said bring back an exciting iPhone, so I got to back up how they can do that. So let's look outside at what Apple is doing, and I'm looking directly at the Samsung Galaxy S10 rumored 10th anniversary edition features. Now, we've heard in-display fingerprint scanner, an edge-to-edge screen as pretty as you can get on a phone right now, pretty much all the way to the sides, 5G connectivity, and a potential quad rear camera. And okay, yes, these are rumors, and you can either poop on Samsung or admire what other companies outside of Apple in the tech world are doing. But as an Apple fan, you're telling me that you don't want any of that in your phone? I don't think so. An all-new redesign of the phone doesn't need to happen for me to say, really, this is exciting. But the first thing that they can do to make me really happy is get rid of the notch. And I know you're all like, come on, why you got to complain about that? Look, this is my wish list, not yours. You could type it all you want at the bottom, but they've got to get rid of the notch. I don't want it there. And some of you are all like, oh, eye rolling like this again. But some of you are all like, yes, absolutely, get rid of the notch. But beyond that, if I want to be excited about the next iPhone, I want Apple to show me their vision of what ARKit can be for them. Something that makes it useful for us beyond Pokemon Go and really integrated into iOS that brings real utility and function to us. We know the goal, like way down the road, is for ARKit to drive some sort of Apple glasses wearable. But if you've packed all this power into the iPhone already, let's use it. Right? Let's see how you connect the dots to this new platform that you're building together. And a triple lens rear camera, sure, could be coming. Cameras will continue to get better. USB-C is a no-brainer and eventually coming. Phones at this point where software and unique features are really going to drive them, even sometimes more than hardware will. But let's see what Apple's vision of ARKit really looks like. And then since we're on the topic of hardware and software, we've got to talk about one of my personal favorite products, the iPad Pro.
I have a Pro. I have an iPad. iPad Pro.
In 2019, I'd like to see even more features brought to the iPad's iOS that gives it more functionality. My dream, of course, is a true hybrid iOS, but we know that's probably not going to happen. Apple gives the iPad's iOS a big feature bump really every 2 years. 2018 was definitely not that year, and if this is really a laptop replacement like Apple wants it to be, let's get some level of file management with external storage directly connected to the iPad Pro with read and write ability. I don't think that's asking too much. And Apple, you've got to be honest with yourself and make a better keyboard case than what you have, even if people are buying it. It's had the same feel for the past 2 years. I tried Apple's keyboard case again, but returned it because the rubberized keyboard feedback doesn't feel good at all. Honestly, Logitech's was superior last year. And what about multiple user profiles? We've asked for that since day one, okay? But also even more pro apps will hopefully come in 2019. We know Photoshop is in, and I'm excited for it, but Apple, support your own hardware with your own pro level apps. This is the third year I'm asking, and I'll keep asking until it happens, okay? Yes. All right, let's bounce around and talk about services. We're expecting to see Apple's TV show and movie streaming service come out sometime in 2019, and I'm genuinely curious. I'd like to call it cautiously optimistic to see just how this turns out. The acquisition of Texture this year looks to be shaping into Apple's own news and magazine subscription service as well, but I still don't think it's too late for Apple to do a subscription TV package to be part of the Apple TV. Now, we know they lost a huge opportunity a few years ago because they wanted the networks to agree to their terms, and instead those networks made agreements with PlayStation Vue, Sling TV, Direct TV, and YouTube TV, but Apple should have their own because it benefits the Apple TV. Now, if everything I talked about in this video, let's like rewind and put all the pieces together, if they magically came together like, whoa, okay, think about this. A completely rebuilt and smarter Siri, widespread support for smart home devices, and an over-the-air Apple TV subscription service while being the only streaming box on the market that supports Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos sound. That's the killer product that they could have had, and it's still not too late. Come on, Apple TV 4K Max. Make it happen. And no, they should not call it that. And finally, I've got one more thing. Yes, this is a long video, but I think you're all on board with this so far, right? You're all on board? You're here. You've been here for how many minutes now? Let's talk about my favorite Apple product of 2018, the Apple Watch Series 4. It took them about 3 years to start figuring out what to do with it with the Series 3, but they've really nailed it with the Series 4. WatchOS is great now. We've got an ECG on the watch, and Apple is going to continue to push this even further as a health monitoring device on top of what they've already done. But if you want the icing on the cake for me, I've asked for it since day one, and no, it's not a round watch face. I want a FaceTime camera on the Apple Watch Series 5. Like, I want the Dick Tracy watch with FaceTime calls in 2019, and it would truly take the Apple Watch to that, like, next level. No one's going to touch it, right? I know it's just my crazy ask that is within reach, but will probably never happen because, come on, Apple doesn't really think like that anymore. But for 2019, I would love to see that. Oh my goodness. Okay, do it for me, Apple, like hearts right here. All right, that's enough for me, but I really want to hear what you think Apple should do in 2019. What do you want to see? Maybe you agree with me. Maybe you completely disagree. I say let it all out in the comments below because you know I'm reading them. And if there's enough good stuff, I'll put together a video of what you all want in 2019. And if you've seen my videos, you enjoyed this, you know the drill. Thumbs up, subs up, and hit that notification bell, bing, so that you can get notifications in your pants or your purse when I drop the next video. And if you'd like to go even deeper, check out my Apple Bits XL audio podcast for more stories each week. You can help support the podcast and everything I'm doing. It's all independent at patreon.com/Brian Tong. All right, that's going to do it for this video. Thanks so much for watching, and thank you for staying all the way to the end of this video. There was so much to talk about, but I want to hear what y'all think. All right, until next time, take care and be safe. See ya.